Good morning. Welcome back to the Fairy Tale Unit. This is Tam Lin. Now, the Tam Lin videos can be found in the playlist. They are videos 21 and 22. They are from Labyrinth, which is a story about a goblin who kidnaps a baby. Right? You see where that's... See where I'm going with that? Okay. You'll figure it out if you didn't. The story of Tam Lin, most of you already know, but I will tell it to you anyway. Before I do that, the things to think about in this particular unit are the following. What are the things each fairy tale could be trying to tell you about its society? How does each fairy tale react to the supernatural, and why might that be? How does it treat men? How does it treat women? How is each fairy tale different depending on where it is written, or the same? How are the movie clips, poems, and articles related to each story? Now, in the Tam Lin packet, there's a lot of stories that are from Ireland and Scotland about fairies kidnapping people for obvious reasons. Tam Lin is all about the fairies kidnapping people. So, here we go. Once upon a time, in the lovely land of Scotland, there was a family, the Mackenzies, and they had a lovely house, and they were pretty happy. And they had this friend, his name was Tam Lin, and one day Tam Lin was visiting, and they were riding, and Tam Lin fell off his horse, because his horse got spooked, probably by a fairy, and landed in a mushroom ring, and Tam Lin vanished. And when Tam Lin vanished, and the fairies took him, they also kind of got control of the house somehow. No one was really sure how, but all of a sudden, they couldn't live in the house, because it was infested with fairies, and the fairies took control of the house, Carter Hall. And so the Mackenzies are like, all right, we're going to move to the village. And they lived there for the next 100 years. Until a little girl was born. Her name was Jeanette. Now, Jeanette Mackenzie was not like other girls, because she did not like living in the village. Not that she hated the village. She was like, we're supposed to live in that fancy house. That is my birthright. I'm supposed to live there and take care of the people. Why don't I live in that house? And her family is like, the fairies took it. Give it up. We live here now. We're fine. She's like, no. When I turn 17, I'm going to go and I'm going to take it back from the fairies. And they're like, her parents are like, no, don't do that. She's like, but I will. I will. Because I'm stubborn. I'm Scottish. So she turned 17 and there's this big party and everyone's like, you look so lovely. I'm so glad you've forgotten about taking back your house from the fairies. And she's like, yes. But at midnight, she sneaks out of the village and goes to Carter Hall. And she's there, and she's looking around, and it's just a wasteland, a barren, sad wasteland. But there's this one red rose, and she picks the rose, and she's like, this is my pledge. I will reclaim this land. And as soon as she plucks the rose and says that, this dude pops up, and he's very handsome. And she's like, who are you? And he's like, who are you? And how did you get me here? You called me back from the fairy world. And she's like, I did? Okay. He's like, my name's Tam Lin. She's like, my great-great-great-grandfather had a friend named Tam Lin. You're Tam Lin. And he's like, yeah, I've been the captive of the fairy queen for like 100 years because she loved me. So she decided she wanted me, so she kidnapped me. And Jeanette's like, oh, I'm sorry. And he's like, yeah, and every 7 years the fairies sacrifice someone to hell as their tithe, and I've been safe, but now it's my turn to be sacrificed because the queen's fallen in love with another human, so I'm gonna die. So I'm glad you called me out so I could see the human world one last time before my death. And Jeanette's like, well, I don't like to hear about people dying, so is there any way I can save you? And he's like, well, there's one way I can be saved. I have to be held on too tightly by people who love me, but nobody loves me because everyone who loved me is dead, so it's just my time to die, whatever. And Jeanette's like, okay, I don't know you, but I will love you enough to save you. And he's like, what? And she's like, yeah, I'm gonna save you. He's like, okay, cool. So he gives her directions. So the next night, it's the full moon, the night where the fairies sacrifice their humans to hell. You know, for kids. So Jeanette is hiding. She's got some dirt. She's got some holy water. And she's hiding in the hedge, waiting for the fairies. This is me hiding in a hedge. You can tell, right? I'm sneaky. So she sees one horse go by. She's like, that's not my Tam Lin. Sees another horse go by. That's not my Tam Lin. Then their fairy queen goes by. Definitely not her Tam Lin. And then she sees Tam Lin go by. So she runs and grabs him off the horse and holds on tight. And the fairy queen turns back around. She's like, give me back my Tam Lin. And Jeanette's like, no. She's like, give me back Tam Lin and I'll give you gold. And gold and jewels. And Jeanette goes, I have enough gold in my father's hair and silver in my mother's, and all the jewels I need sparkle in my true love's eyes. I'ma hold on tight. And the Fairy Queen's like, okay, give me back Tam Lin, and I'll give you Carter Hall. And Jeanette thinks about it for a bit longer than she probably should have. And she's like, no, I'm gonna have Tam Lin and Carter Hall. So move along. And the Fairy Queen's like, I'm gonna keep holding on. And the Fairy Queen's like, no, you're not gonna keep holding on, Jeanette. You're not even holding on now. So she's like, you got 5 minutes starting now. And she turns Tam Lin into a giant lion. And Jeanette's like holding on real tight. And the lion does not like to be held because he's a lion. And he's breathing in her face. She's holding on. And the Fairy Queen's like, okay, next. Turns him into a giant snake. And Jeanette's like, oh, snake breath. Snake breath. And she's holding on, but he's really slippery. So that's not going well either. But she's still holding on tight. Then the Fairy Queen turns him into a hot brand of iron, which is weird because fairies can't touch iron, so it's a little squishy. So he's on fire, so Jeanette takes him, and like there's a well conveniently located for all of your fairy throwing needs. So she takes the iron, chucks it into the well, which is technically cheating, then takes her water, which is holy water, and dumps it in there. And Tam Lin pops out. She takes her cloak, wraps it around him, and she's like, okay, we're good. And then they grab hands again. And he's like, nope, no, we need the earth. So she takes the earth, which she got from the cemetery, and sprinkles it around him. And then they turn and they face the Queen, and she's like, curses on you and your houses. And Tam Lin's like, we're surrounded by holy dirt with holy water on our foreheads, so your curse bounces off of us and goes on to you. Which is basically the Scottish equivalent of, I am rubber, you are glue, whatever you say bounces off me and sticks to you. And the Fairy Queen is like, ah. But then she realizes they've spent so much time with this whole thing, because time goes really weirdly on this particular night for some reason, that it is now morning time, and the fairies have to go back without their tithe to hell, which is a really awkward conversation later. And then Jeanette and Tam Lin are like, yay! And they actually do spend some time together before they get married. And they restore Carter Hall to its former brilliance, and they do live happily ever after. It's another fairy tale. It doesn't get adapted very much. I can see why. There's a lot of just weird things that go with it, like some weird, strange possibilities. There's some weird potential subplots, and the whole fairies kidnapping and sacrificing people thing, it's not exactly a story that Disney could make, but I'd be interested to see it. Alright, have a good day. Cav out.